This is Zim Olson introducing his presentation called Zim Math Topics, trying to get ready for Christmas 2012. I hope other mathematicians will have an opportunity to enjoy this interesting presentation sometime next year. Here's a little introduction to Zim Math Topics 2 of the topics for this presentation. I also call this presentation Creative Math as Expressed, some applications or derivations of the system and or subsystem expression paradigm. I'll give you some time to go over this. I thought everybody would want to see a systems paradigm in terms of expressing energy and economies. I call it source plus expression, functional source plus some unknown constructive expression. This is some artwork. I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at here, but I think it's pretty cool. We have given numeric constructs as expressed and giving source plus expression for energy and economies. I'm just going to read the text here for energy and economies. Economic exchange is a variable value outcome constrained by system and or subsystem expression constraints, i.e. governments and global markets. Constraints on individuals, group, organizational, political, etc. Additional modeling parameters to economics and economic medium constructs could involve the following objects. And I can read that. Just some already recognized constructs for math and otherwise. These constructs are for any given dollar. Expressions of system and or subsystem constructs should be incorporated into economic models. So, people don't like to get into that, but I think it's a little more possible with my paradigm. Prior economic models include a communist or systems approach to economies. The U.S. economic model, which attempts to utilize a system and subsystem approach, and then there's Zim Mathematics, would like to suggest a system and or subsystem approach. I talk about some economic principles in another topic selection further down this presentation. Current economic systems are partial system constructs or systems of constraints. Expressions of economic exchange could be expressed with complete operational systems and take the form of, next slide, energy and economies continued. Here I have an expression. I'm trying to show what gives value to a dollar commodity. Every dollar plus any dollar plus some dollar plus non-dollar as a complete system operational plus, or could be a complete or partial expression, or could be an unknown or known operational system. And this is said to give a principal system value for the dollar. In God we trust. Maybe that's where it comes from. So it gives the value for a dollar. The dollar mathematical transformation and constructs utilized could give focus for desired and not desired economic outcomes. It should be kept in mind both outcomes are results of open economic models. Maybe I should have titled this flyer, How to Make Your First $1 Million with Zim Math. If anyone figures out how to do this, please let me know. I would characterize this material as providing outlines to varieties of system-wide or otherwise economic opportunities. I'm not entirely sure how to apply this math art. I thought it had a lot of contemporary framework or application. We see economic opportunity as a rolling of dice, and here I have a principal system dollar with the numeric functional components 1 and 0, and derivatives, earthly derivatives of dollar on the dice, and I don't know all how it all works, but I think that part of it was pretty relevant to our perception of economics currently and how it could be developed with my systems paradigm. Here we have energy expressed as the famous E equals mc squared. I thought I'd take the liberty of expressing this in terms of system components expressed as singular, paired, or multiple objects with the system components, and the outcome as single, paired, or multiple. And I feel this gives a new existential behavior and sources for energy and this expression from Einstein. Here's some more artwork. Instead of expressing source plus expression for energy, this is economic value or commodity or expression, or whatever you want to call it. I have a formula down below where dollars are not just expressed as functional plus minus, but as a functional context and non-stated functionality and intersecting functionality expressed as systems and or subsystems, and this gives new value and worth and expression for the dollar. I'm aware that this is a very serious issue for the world in its current state, and has been for years, centuries, or whatever. I realize also there have been many attempts to deal with this. Besides war, some knowledge expressions to deal with war, and pretty much, as far as I know, have failed. And I'm dealing with this pretty much with mathematics, new existential options, but I feel they deal with war differently, and it is mathematics. There's no outcome of any kind predestined from this, but it does outline some paradigms or parameters of war that may not have been people have not been aware of. Conflict, as in logic and or non-logic, are a result of principal systems versus subsystem partial expression, as in group settings. Alternate expression modalities are outlined. Norm mathematics gives successful principal solutions to conflict and war. Principal solution is as opposed to a partial system solution. War continued on the slide. One desirable outcome or resolution. I feel the solution to war is there. It's a resolution whenever we resolve war. So within the mathematics may be characterized as some principal expressions, numeric object combinations f1, f0, f1 and 0, f1 and or 0. For example, a plus b, a1 and or 0 plus b1 and or 0 plus expressed exhaustively through z1 and or 0 as a function of operational systems, complete, partial, known, or unknown. With the operations expressions as known or unknown, but complete system expressions, this example would give a resolution of any conflict by giving full functionality or system-wide functionality for all involved object systems A through Z, or complete system and or subsystem functionality. Follows several logic and or non-logic statements representing earthly conflicts or sets or groupings of possibly partial system expressions. Known mathematical algorithms can be used to attain the desired Z-math outcome or a principal system outcome. Independently expressed as complete or partial systems, parties of concern within an unknown or given principal system numeric, qualitative, or simply operational expressions representing conflict or war are given in the next slide below. I want to try to explain how this can represent a broad category of conflicts. In this slide here, I'm expressing different constructs of parties of concern through either different functional expressions or various constructs. F and G show the different expressions, and the constructs can be various numeric, various partial system constructs, and they can be the two F expression and G expressions can be combinable maybe through some mathematical expression or some existential expression through application of like terms of existential component expressions or operational component expressions, and so I hope this summarizes this slide. This is the next slide shows parties of concern which share like expressions but have utilize different constructs. Here's a different expressions for different categories of conflict on earthly conflicts. The same constructs are expressed, but this time they share the same expression, but they the parties use different constructs and different expressions. F of G or F of, the different combinations of constructs. And this is supposed to represent a different category of conflicts on Earth. And I feel there's a lot of mathematics that can deal with these complete or partial, unknown or known operational expressions to come up with a principal system outcome, a system and subsystem outcome. And I won't get into that now. Whether there are more categories of conflict that need to be included, I'm sure that's a possibility. Here's another take on my approach to Zim mathematics outcomes on war principal system versus partial system outcome of war. Here I show a Venn diagram depicting partial and diminishing outcomes expression of war, where I express the functional NEX time expressions representing contemporary war expressions give order to disorder or give the outcome of entropy physics using the physical law of entropy. But here with Zim mathematics, principal system outcome of war, full system and or subsystem is achieved, where functional context, LEX, time expressions give order to disorder to order, and I feel there's a expressionable time series for functional context that can be used to be applied to conflicts, given NEX conflicts. I thought this was a cool exercise for Zim mathematics and my paradigm of systems. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know if anybody's totally figured this out. I'm sure there's been a lot of thought on this, but here's my take on it. This egg and chicken can be, life can be expressed as a system and or subsystem, as a derivative of life or a derivative of principal functional system, as a partial or complete system, unknown or known operational values. Mathematical source to a history of evolution, or otherwise stated as the chicken or the egg problem. My purpose here is to explain the system and or subsystem paradigm and its manifestation in existential phenomena, time, space, creation and ending concepts, life, physics, and otherwise mechanical or cause and effect paradigm dynamic. This knowledge differs in its utilization of axiomatic principles and their derivatives, and given non-derivatives, and where expression modalities, and expression constructs are their source of information. The expression of numeric values or numeric objects, the systems, is said to be given a given ruler of the universe, where objects 1 and or 0, expressed as numeric systems, are the source to all known derivatives, giving a functional source for all expressions and objects. This ruler, quote-unquote, is also said to be applicable to any object, qualitative, quantitative, physical, lifetime, or even universal, or a universal. No other object constructs and their expression are known to give the same outcome. The derivative source for a numeric object 1 and or 0 itself could be said to be the result of something I call principal system logic, where expression or earthly expression of any object is said to give another unique expression object, all possessing a functional context, every x, a system and no system functionality, any x, or f of x, a non-stated functionality non-x, and a resultant intersection functionality sum of x. This principal system logic can be expressed as 1 and or 0, or as stated below, where any object, partial or otherwise, expression would give this all the components would be said to be functionally equivalent for partial or complete system expressions for these numeric objects. History of evolution continued. To determine a functional source to any object or any life object, such as in the chicken and the egg problem, and/or the egg problem, which came first, we can employ the system and or subsystem paradigm. There are, of course, a variety of ways to employ this paradigm, and I think it is appropriate and valid to apply any of the available expressions of this paradigm as true or truth. Here I have chicken A and chicken B expressed together as a function of their selves as numeric constructs 1 as either complete systems or incomplete systems, unknown or known operational systems, and this would give various existential results, and all the expressions are available and expressible. This gives the following expression possibility outline, where plus is expressed as a complete or partial system. So I got the and or statements there, and then I play them out in the individual statements down below. As I say, all of them are available and expressible, and they do get expressed and have different outcomes for each of these chicken A and B. The mathematical source to a history of evolution continued. Each expression of the chicken A and chicken rooster B with given outcome expression of a unique chick, some so-called chick outcome, X, in bold, is a possible and a given true existential expression. All objects, of course, are expressed in either a complete system expression or some partial system expression. The construct of chicken A or chicken rooster B can also be expressed in a variety of ways. Operational expressions can also be expressed as complete system or some partial system expression. Partial system constructs could be simply an earthly construct, geographical, organizational, government, home, economical, etc., or a complete principal system construct such as A as a construct of 1 or A0 as a construct of 0, and the same with B. So which came first, the chicken or the egg? What is the functional source or cause effect of the chickens and or the egg paradigm? What is the functional source? This phenomenon has many functional sources, and all expressible, various functional contexts, expressible non-stated functionalities, and a variety of combinations of these behavioral components also are expressible with additional observable behavior. Continued history of evolution. Applied attributes of numeric values 1 and or 0 to objects is completely expressed are said to give a principal functionality or system-wide functionality, or expressionable system of 1 with complete access to principal system logic. This documents the biblical principal axiom, God is love. Application of partial system constructs, qualitative, physical, time attributes do not make available all the logic, as in principal system logic, to this knowledge existential system. An expressible system of 1 may not be available or accessible. Thus, paired groups, objects, expressions of systems may not be attainable without this. Alternative expression sources will be needed for sustenance, although no additional information will result. An outcome similar to the Earth, solar, and life partial system transformations observed on Earth is the outcome of these expressions. Continued history of evolution as with the chicken and or the egg problem, mathematical problem. So we now address the mechanical or cause and effect source for any physical system. The given time constraint, organizational structure, earthly, or some such given constraint paradigm, which we use all the time. It should be noted that the above-mentioned paradigms are systems designed for limited applications. The limited characteristic is incorporated through the utilization of limited paradigms, such as can be more readily visualized by the selection, omission of available system behavioral components outlined on the title page of the splitter. For example, time, cause and effect mechanic as expressed by the utilization of only the system and no subsystem functionalities, NEX, with otherwise random application of other system behavioral components could give varying so-called existential behavior, such as creation of objects, relative duration of system objects, relative forces or dynamic, perceived efficiency versus inefficiency, perception of rationale versus non-rationale, or even the idea of outcome versus non-outcome. In conclusion of this topic, the chicken or the egg, I have a diagram here. I guess you could have drawn this diagram differently. Just chicken A, chicken B expressed as some construct 1 and or 0, 1 and 0, and as a complete system, operational system, or partial operational system, combinable mathematically or not, depending on how you express it. Organizational outcomes are essentially limited, which is seen as acceptable until the desired outcome no longer is attainable, and the rational mechanic is no longer accessible due to the non-availability of the omitted information. IQ is expressed. A lot of times we give a lot of credence to certain standardized expressions of IQ, but we don't always give credence to different variations of expressions of this IQ and that are not within the standardization. How can we expect intelligence, knowledge, language, and communication to behave within a systems paradigm where the possibility of expressions of systems within who knows what, is made available, and where the qualitative constructs are dominant in a language and are seen as only partial system expressions and nothing but a constant source of misinformation? Here I have a cool diagram of what I'm talking about, and there are a zillion ways you could do this artwork, and I just picked this one way, and maybe someday I'll do a lot more of this kind of IQ as expressed artwork. I guess not everybody is into parsing through tree samples for figuring out things, but I thought I'd give it another try to illustrate IQ as expressed topic. This shows two partial system constructs, or expression A and or B, from some given principal system Z. A and or B could represent people, physical, or organizational paradigms, and their available domains of behavior. Partial systems and partial system expressions. This text below describes the tree on the following slide. I'll read it here though. The plot, of course, can be much more involved, as we know the combinations of partial systems expressions, so-called complicates things. The following diagram describes an expressed principal system, F1 and or 0, with only two unique expressed partial systems, Z as a function of some unknown construct, and X as a function of some unknown construct, with their own domains of expressions for A and B. Some of the inherited problem domains and an available solution, a principal system solution. I think that's, I get into problems and solutions, and if problems are derivations of a solution. Here's the diagram I just described, trying to show some of the things involved in IQ as expressed topic, where I'm trying to get into how we must take into allowance where we can express IQs as systems within systems within systems, etc., etc., etc. And that's part of the IQ phenomena. And here I'm trying to show that. Let's see if I can explain this. The source is expressed. The source is an expression itself, and we get a derivation of that. And each of the two derivations, Z and X, have their own derivations. They could be human, country, geographical, earthly, government. A and B could be, Z and X could be that, and A and B could be individuals. And outcomes, combinable outcomes, are very interesting. You know, what's available, what's not available, and how they happen. And there's expressions of A, B, A and B, A and or B, as individuals, or expressions of A, or expressions of B, expressions of A and B, expressions of A and or B. So that's some of the dynamic I'm trying to highlight here. Z, the functionality of Z does not equal X. The functionality of A does not equal B. And some available expression modalities within a given domain here is A can be B, A and B, and A and or B can be expressed as a complete operational systems, a function of complete operational systems, or they're giving any value. Any expression will give any value, and but any complete incomplete system expression of those operational values will give misinformation or not equal anything. Here, as part of my IQ as expressed topic, I try to interpret the Lord's Prayer from the Bible, New Testament in the Bible, and Zen mathematics, systems mathematics, and I'll go through some of this real quick. I kind of like some of the derivatives of knowledge I get from this interpretation, where numeric values, hallowed be thy name, expressed as complete systems, give God, and as I say, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. They also are valid system constructs, partial system constructs with these numeric constructs, 1, 0, 1 and or 0, and 1 and 0, give functional access to the principal system and the functional source. Give us this day our daily bread. Now, I also found this interpretation gives some very interesting concepts, relationships between principal systems and subsystems. How this access to the principal system gives us access to the subsystem source. Forgive us for our sins. Our expressions, our partial system expressions, are always expressible by a principal system, with giving us availability of a principal system of one, expression of principal system of one for ourselves, as we forgive those who sin against us. Let's see. Ourselves expressed as partial system expressions. We have available complete system expressions, giving expression of one for the partial system expression against us. Lead us not into temptation. God is always expressible and available, accessible as a complete system. Deliver us from evil, even though we are express ourselves as partial system expressions. The principal system expression is always there and available and expressible. I like this last one very much. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. After one and or zero can express any series, infinite series. You know, one thing I've noticed in our lives on Earth, schooling, education, 1 through higher levels of education, business, we're all interested in non-functionality, stupidity, errors, and all that. And you know, I think within the systems paradigm, we can get a handle on where this is coming from, and what makes an error, and what is something else, and what is a relationship to expressions in general and error. So within Zim mathematics, error or non-stated functionality has many derivations and sources, and it all consists of its relationship with the 4 system behavioral components for any object, and as it's expressed as a system and a subsystem, as groups, singular, pair, or multiple objects, and try to encapsulate this in this little matrix or expression, how objects can, as expressed, depending on selection or omission of constructs, give various non-functionality expressions and systems. I thought I had to include this systems free time in my topic of non-functionality systems. I think it's very interesting to some of us. A possibly dominant and non-hierarchical mathematical paradigm, systems free time, as seen in physical, gravitational, operational systems. A system free time expression of like objects is said to give unconditional logic as experienced in gravitational phenomena, operational expressions, and other systems expressions. The constructs employed can give access to a principal system logic, appearing as a non-functional but simply giving unlike or non-stated functionality. A system's time expression can be more easily visualized by mathematically expressing known systems phenomena, such as physical, biological, knowledge, theological, and computer systems, and then explain these already known systems' behavior with a systems free time. This is as opposed to known systems and subsystems expressions, such as contemporary time and other so-called relational items events, or other earthly items events in their times. A numeric construct of 1 and or 0 is applicable to a system's, subsystems, where systems and subsystems could give a dominant measure of times, or a cause-effect series, or a logic one source to relationships. This topic of non-functionality systems is rather overwhelming to some of us. So, complexity is overwhelming to us. I just thought I'd just start doodling and come up with some. Who, what, when, where, how expressions for as partial expressions or complete expressions. System components expressed as non-stated functions or numeric objects of one, different expressions of for unit 0 or of objects, paired objects, single objects, or multiple objects, and operations expressed as unit 0. And I have that on the next page. Like I say, this complexity and non-functionality to us creatures on Earth is, with all the background and the way we have it, is kind of conceptually overwhelming. So I tried looking at operations as unit 0, and to me this is all existentially viable expressions, somehow true, that mathematicians, or somehow their job is to show how this is true. As I know many people in our outside mathematics, they want to know a little more on applications of this paradigm of mind, systems paradigm. And they want to know what they're going to do about economy and all that, besides energy. And here I have my last presentation on U.S. jobs, market plus workforce. I just want to show that jobs are said to be objects expressible with all those math constructs, expressible, available, and expressible. And they sometimes are. And they can be expressed as systems and or subsystems, a market and a workforce, as single objects, multiple objects, paired objects. And if we look at this a little more, we see we're missing the boat on some possible outcomes. Functional source is derived from numeric systems expressed as complete systems of known or unknown operations and the applied constructs by U.S. government regulation and U.S. company selection, omission of these available and expressible hierarchies and constructs could give the following U.S. corporation business options. You need to take into consideration every expression is itself an expression, hopefully one that utilizes available functionality sources and giving all access to a principal system logic, giving a viable principal system of one knowledge system outcome, existential system outcome. So I outlined some expression hierarchies that might be seen as some of the current available options, and I try to highlight some possible new options. The current one that some people might recognize is on the left. Partial system construct of jobs A through Z for manufacturing some given auto from auto company A with a given manner of doing this or known operational system on the right. Slight variation utilizing expression of jobs A through Z as a construct of one, which makes available unknown operational systems even for a construct of automotive company A, and these give different outcomes supposedly. On the left, you get a company product with a given auto unit A. On the right, you have some product of unit auto X, which might be desirable in some cases. I'm aligning these because I feel economies and corporations are missing the boat on possible outcomes to workforce plus market and economic outcomes. Like I say, I think we're missing some of economic job market plus workforce outcomes available. We use partial system constructs for the jobs to get our limited outcome for the company, but I think there are other expressions available which give desirable outcomes for the company also. Identity function maybe for the company also, and here I show the possibility of expressing the auto job as a construct of one, and the person itself as a construct of one, as some unknown operational value instead of some given operational value, which would possibly be a better result for the market, for the workforce and the company, giving a company A product with some unknown auto product, which might be more system, a viable system expression for the company. The object expressible as one for any unknown complete operational system is said to give the identity function of that object for the company or the person, both. The same object expressed as one by incomplete operational systems is said to give a partial subsystem and not a principal system-wide result. A complete system expression is said to consist of all the four behavioral components for any object. A partial object expression consists of partial combination of the four behavioral components for any object systems. Continued U.S. jobs market plus workforce. A so-called NEX, or conventional and functional job, is seen as limited or a self-limited arrangement for purpose of limit conventions only, so as to limit outcome or production to selected omitted objects. The typical f of x conventions used to model job expressions and productivity outcomes serve more to limit other types of inherent and parallel productivity. This model inherently limits productivity of government, companies, employees, citizenry, or non-citizenry, or other selected omitted objects of concern. This convention has no other purpose or utility within a principal economic system, and its expressions, such as with the U.S. government and its regulatory function. Compensation could also be expressed in monetary exchange with corresponding values as system or subsystem systems and their expressions. So if you expressed did a monetary exchange within some different variation of systems and or subsystems, it could be worth some different amount. Within Zim mathematics, trees have much more dynamic than physical constraint. Trees of constraints or hierarchical trees of physical constraints, because each object is expressible within a variety of operational expressions and expression constructs, giving different tree expression hierarchies. And I think our companies and government don't realize this. They think it's all government to company, and that's not so. And government has more available expression modalities and constructs than they realize, and this could give a lot more available outcome to economic planning. This topic is titled Education Systems. Systems problems with education when knowledge of principal systems is omitted. Knowledge of partial expressions plus principal system expressions is incorporated into our education system to give viable knowledge. I perceive systematic problems with education systems, as I described just now. have a little artwork to the right here, trying to give an idea of different expressions of knowledge states, and which I will cover in the next slides. Educational outcomes require access to all available behavioral or functional capability. Selection, omission of access to these resources is to set in stone educational limitations. Education consisting of intellectual partitions between disciplines such as math science disciplines, knowledges, knowledge theories, theologies, non-theology, giving no access to any kind of principal system source, denying the existence of a source of open domain is to limit education and its knowledge, giving merely a partial system expressions under contingent limited domains. This analysis becomes more self-evident when considering our contemporary educational systems, selection and or omission of knowledge, symbols, and even matter and mass as either items and or events, or systems or subsystems, or systems and subsystems. Availability of expressions of our knowledge systems as systems and or subsystems within systems and or subsystems within whatever should be recognized as possible sources to potential future knowledge systems. Limitation of contemporary knowledge constructs such as numeric, quality, quantity, unknown, variables, and other expression constructs should also be recognized, and other constructs should always be known to be available and of value to any viable knowledge system. It may be helpful to try and construct an educational system as not just another partial system construct made in its own image, where its job is essentially to maintain or perpetuate itself. Knowledge should not be seen as simply a source to all other knowledge. Principal systems knowledge should also be considered a necessary part of a viable knowledge system, although expressions indicate an open domain to knowledge. New access to principal systems functional sources should be sought. Even though principal system knowledge may not be attainable, new expressions and constructs or expressions should be seen as a viable ingredient to any educational system and of any potential or current knowledge system. Evidence of the unconcern with access to principal systems and their expressions is evident in the educational outcomes of our public school system in the United States. Partial system expressions are dominant and run rampant in our public media and dialogue of all kinds of issues. All truths are made simply by omitting other truths and then expressing their selection or omission as truths. This is widely seen as an acceptable course of action to intelligent behavior and solution for any so-called problem. According to Zen mathematics, the source to all problems is partial system expressions themselves, and the source to all solutions or solutions, as in a principal or system-wide outcome, or any answer/question expression, is access to a principal systems of expression of open domain, such as with numeric expressions I give below. These are numeric values of 1 and or 0 expressed as a function of operational systems, complete systems, and also partial operational systems. In conclusion of my topic on educational systems, I have this cool artwork on the right. I think that it's more indicative of what I'm talking about than I realize maybe. Sometimes my artwork works out that way. I figure all my work, when applied to my paradigms, comes out clean in the wash, so to speak. Numeric systems expressed by complete or partial operational systems, the true so-called ruler of the universe. universe, new concept of any kind of universe. This concludes my presentation on Zim Math Topics 2, Creative Math as Expressed. I used to kind of have in the back of mind working on this till I get finished. I think I'm starting to realize there's no finish to this. So I guess there will be updates as they come along. Maybe Zim Math Topics 3.